And some things on TikTok are kind of questionable. I'm a licensed clinical social worker with a passion to help women eat, move, and live a life of mental and physical wellness. You know, there's a pretty big stigma when it comes to turning 30, approaching 40, with 50 not too far off in the horizon. If your reaction to turning these beautiful, wonderful ages is a sense of fear, doubt, guilt, or overwhelm with the sense that now you are supposed to automatically be super responsible with everything figured and planned out, guess what? You are not by yourself. You know, they say hindsight is 20/20, and that is so true. It is so much easier to look back and analyze situations after we've gone through them. That is why I was so excited when I saw a group of women giving advice, a group of 40-somethings giving advice to 30-somethings. Like we all need that big sister, that auntie, that someone who has gone through and can tell us the things to look out for. Well, you know, I came across it on TikTok, and some things on TikTok are kind of questionable. I wanted to share with you some of the things that women over 40 are saying to women who are a little bit younger to see if it's wise and useful.
For 40, if you could give one piece of advice to a woman in her 30s, what advice would you give her?
It is never too late to reinvent yourself. Maybe by now you thought you'd have it all figured out. You'd have the career. You'd have the kids if you want it. You'd have the relationship if you want it. You'd think you'd have it all figured out and wrapped up in a nice little bow, ready to go.
Yes, I like the bow.
It's cute.
She's like, it's cute.
Unfortunately, life doesn't turn out that way.
Girl, you better tell them.
And life is never linear. As long as you have the ability to breathe, then it's never too late.
Yes, I like this one. That right there, that's the gold standard of advice. It is never too late to reinvent yourself. I'm not sure exactly what age it starts, but one day we all seem to wake up and we decide that where we are presently is where we will and must stay. You don't have to have your life all gift wrapped with a bow on top. Ooh, she said that I got chills up my spine. After I decided to become a stay-at-home mom that home educated her boys, I thought, what will become of me? What will become of all of the degrees I've earned? Let me tell you, now that my boys are off discovering college and exploring life, I've dabbled in online teaching, became a content YouTube creator, trained as a nutrition coach, and check this out, I returned back to my first passion, supporting others along their mental wellness journey. So what does all that mean? It means that there is so much more waiting for you, waiting for me. Each day presents us with a new opportunity and with new choices. We don't have to limit ourselves. That was a good one. I will leave the link to her social media down in the description below because the video had so much more to say.
For 40, if you could give one piece of advice to a woman in her 30s, what advice would you give her?
This is the advice I would have loved to hear in my 30s. Numéro 1. If you haven't yet, start weight training.
Yes, and she flexed. Ah, look at the flex. That is some top-notch information that is applicable starting as young as your 20s. See, aerobic exercise is great for so many health benefits, but weight training is transformational. I cannot emphasize how much better my relationship with food and body became after I started to embrace weight training. Not only are you getting tight and toned, but your mental well-being gets a boost. Weight training.
For 40, if you could give one piece of advice to a woman in her 30s, what advice would you give her?
There's something that kind of is magical that happens when you hit that over 40 mark. You start to realize that you've spent the vast majority of your life caring about what other people think rather than what you think of yourself.
Yes.
And somewhere along the lines, you have this epiphany moment where you're like, why the f do I care?
I'm gonna have to bloop that.
When anyone else thinks of me. And you truly start to become the person you were always meant to be.
Yes. Alrighty. So yes, I like that. She said basically at the end of the day, valuing your own opinion of yourself over the opinions of others. We are relational beings, and our relationships at times can influence how we interact with others and the world around us. But placing too much value on what others think about us can be exhausting and over time debilitating. Times when I've set my values to the side and instead allow the values and opinions of others to guide me, over time I realized I wasn't able to recognize what I truly liked or even who I really was. I didn't feel like I was thriving and actually really just less spontaneous about just how I approach life in general. And if you're sitting there and you're shaking your head because this is you, then know that you deserve to take the time to get reacquainted with yourself, with your needs, your wants, and your heart's desires. After all, this is your life. It's okay to start to value your opinion of yourself over the opinions of any anybody else. Your thoughts about you, they matter.
Number 40. If you could give one piece of advice to a woman in her 30s, what advice would you give her?
All right, TikTok, let's go.
To honor, respect, and be loyal to my boundaries.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. No, she didn't come with the B word, boundaries. And what I love about this is that she is not even quite 40 yet. I'm happy to see her recognize the importance of establishing boundaries and respecting them enough to not allow others to disregard her boundaries. Boundaries are not selfish, mean, or unloving. They help us to establish how we want others to behave towards us and around us. And then she went on to say,
that rest is absolutely not my reward, but it is a necessity and my right.
Oh, yes. Where were you when I was your age? Rest is not a reward. Did you hear that? Let me rewind that.
That rest is absolutely not my reward, but it is a necessity and my right.
Rest is a necessity and it is your right. We do not need to apologize for sitting down, taking a nap, or doing absolutely nothing. It took me struggling for years with chronic fatigue, an enlarged liver, depression, anxiety, and weight gain to realize that working beyond my physical limit is not the goal. It took me some time, but now I'm at the place where I have learned to protect my well-being, honor my body, and give it the rest that it needs. What about you? How are you protecting your well-being? I'm gonna say, so far, I'm not mad at any of the advice that these ladies on TikTok are giving. Remember, I said I will leave all of their social media contacts down in the description below if you want to go and hear the full version or see if they have any other nuggets of wisdom that might be beneficial for you. These were good. Sometimes they're not. Let's see about this next one.
Number 40. If you could give one piece of advice to a woman in her 30s, what advice would you give her?
Hands down.
Hands down.
Get off of Facebook.
Get off Facebook. Wait a minute.
It's been over a year since I've been off of Facebook.
Ooh, a whole year, no Facebook. But why?
It's been life-changing.
Okay. Life-changing, she said.
So much of what I was putting out onto Facebook for so many years, part of the comparison trap can be nasty. Things that people would post and how I would compare that to my own reality.
Yeah, okay, I get it. She came off Facebook for a whole year because it led her down a road of comparing herself. The lesson from this is to stop inviting negativity into your life. Social media, it is a great place for you to watch funny cat videos. I personally like to watch fashion and makeup transformations, even though I don't do any of that in my real life, but I like to watch it. But when you are reading and watching social media like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or even YouTube, and it leaves you in a state of mental spiraling, comparing yourself to others, and sometimes shaming yourself for not living up to the lives and experiences of the others that we see on there, it is perfectly fine for you to separate yourself from those sources for a while, a long while if you need to. What I've learned in my interactions with social media is that it is 100% my responsibility to guard what I allow into my life. For me to repeatedly watch things that make me question if I'm enough is, well, it's a form of self-inflicted trauma, and I don't want to traumatize myself. You know, we get to control the narratives of our lives. So, you know, the example of how life is a book. It's a blank book, and we get to fill it in. Why not fill your book with things that are good, that are lovely, that are pure, that are beneficial, instead of things that are tearing you down, that are destroying you? Because what we say to ourselves, how we treat ourselves, either builds up a fortress of health and wellness around us, or it demolishes us. Me personally, I vote for the fortress, and I highly recommend that we all have a mental health toolkit. For a glimpse of some of the things in my mental health toolkit, check out this video.